and welcome back to the Comic Lounge. Well, it's the beginning of August, and it looks like I'm living up to some of what I planned on doing. This would have been what I stated at the end of the two videos prior, not the last haul video, where I took apart a sale. No, where I basically at least advertised that I will be doing some collection videos this month, and it's only fitting to start off a collection, or at least a month of doing some collection videos, and with this, given that, well, it was just last week that we just saw the release of Spider-Man Brand New Day, which has been doing, of course, it's a no-brainer that it's doing a lot of box office numbers. So with that, I figured might as well kick it off, and this is going to be a two-part collection video because, well, it's Spider-Man. Of course, it's going to be split up into two parts. Everyone's got at least is going to have an extensive collection of Spider-Man comics, and this is this is half of it, but that looks like it's some, but that's at least some of it. So I do have quite a bit, and for everyone who might still be have the Spider-Man bug and is probably looking through YouTube videos, watching Spider-Man, whatever, they're gonna stumble upon collection videos. At this point, you probably have stumbled upon this collection video, and if you did, congratulations. So what this is, this first half is all going to be focused on what I've got, at least beginning with the earliest story. Again, there's reprints. It's going to be usually reprints of some of the really early Spider-Man comics, but there's definitely a good selection of 80s, and there's definitely plenty of selection of some 70s, so Bronze Age Spider-Man, and again, some of them will be in like Marvel Tales form. So I'm just giving you a heads up there. The minute we get to the second video where I'll be showing off the remaining, that's when you'll get a lot of the 90s era stuff, and that's when you'll probably get some bigger ones in there. But there's a couple really cool ones to begin with. So without further ado, let's just start it off with the reprint of Amazing Fantasy number 15. If you're going to start off a collection video, you got to start off with the comic that introduced Spider-Man to the world, basically. And this is the reprint that came with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1, the box set, which I had gotten as a Christmas gift when I was a kid. I think I was almost 9, 10 years old, whatever. I think when I originally received this, it was fairly within the mid-2000s, which is obviously when this box set originally came out, but that's how I got my own copy of Amazing Fantasy number 15, and it is literally a reprint of the whole book because it does include the bonus science fiction story that was drawn by Steve Ditko as well. And I have a Spider-Man Classics reprint of this particular comic. However, it does not include that bonus story. Instead, it gets replaced with a story of Doctor Strange from, I think, one of the Strange Tales comics. So this one is the most complete, and there are other facsimiles of this one, but this is the one I've had for a long time, so obviously you have to do it. You have to start off a collection video with Amazing Fantasy number 15. And since I do also have a Spider-Man Classics reprint of Spider-Man number 2, but again, it is a bit of it's a Al Milgrom redo cover or whatever, or at least his sort of take of the cover for Amazing Spider-Man number 1. But either way, I didn't feel like pulling that one out, but yes, I do have it. At some point, I might do a much future other Spider-Man collection video. But either way, I will show this one. This is one I just recently picked up this year to begin with, and you probably have seen it if you've been watching my channel. But if you haven't, this will be the first time you'll see it. This is basically, it's Marvel Tales 141, which is a reprint of Amazing Spider-Man number 4, which is the first appearance of the Sandman. Yes, it could be in much better condition, but for the price, alright, I'll take it. It was like, what, $2? So, okay. Either way, it is becoming a little bit tougher to find in higher grade, and when they do, it's almost going to be close to $20, I've noticed. Really crazy, but that's what ends up happening in this day and age. But still, I'm happy to have it. It is a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 4. So, there you have it. And if you've been noticing, there is a comic that usually you'll see in the background. And it's not there because of, I have to bring it because of, it is Amazing Spider-Man. Since I showed my Amazing Fantasy number 15, which came with the box set for Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1, well, I have to show the digest reprint for number 50, which came with the box set for Spider-Man 2. Again, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, which drew a lot of inspiration from this particular storyline. It is one of Stan Lee's best written stories. It's probably one of the most classic Spider-Man stories of the Silver Age. And I'd say, when they say you don't really have to start off with Silver Age comics, I do have to say you should at least read Amazing Spider-Man number 50. It is I think for the time period, this is a very well-written comic. And I think it really showed that Stan Lee could actually do some really good storyline and could really be not deep, but at least really thoughtful. And he knew exactly how to make characters very relatable to young kids and so on. And this is just one of them. And me as a kid, it was a relatable story. And I just reread it. And it's still, I find it relatable. So just a classic storyline. And again, with some scenes that at least got, were redone or were brought to life in Spider-Man 2. So this was a really, really fun book. And again, it is classic. So at least I have a copy of Amazing Spider-Man number 50. I might find a facsimile that's a little more, that's not digest size. So there you have it. So, since I showed you some Silver Age Spider-Man, now I got it going to the 70s, and this is probably the one book. Now, I don't have a reprint of 121 and 122, the death of Gwen Stacy and the death of Norman Osborn. But I do have this, and I think I showed this one last year as, I think I did for spec videos or whatever. I think I did. I can't remember when I really showed these. But these are my reprints. 129. This is the Lionsgate reprint for the comic. This is what you bought, or at least you received once you bought a ticket to see the Punisher film from 2004 with Thomas Jane and John Travolta. And of course, since I went with my grandmother and brother back in 2004, taking their grandkid and brother, taking his little brother to see a character I loved since I was a kid to begin with, but I ended up having 2 copies. One's a reader. This is my reader because there's a stain in the, again, after all these years, but I was able to keep a copy that was a little nicer looking. So these are not super difficult to find, but they can be a little pricey, but they're still way more affordable than the original. And I think I'm just as more happy with having these reprints than actually going after an original. Not like I'm ever going to have that much money to buy an original. But yeah, there you go. Show it. First Punisher. And of course, to continue on, here I have Marvel Tales 107, which of course is the reprint of 130, the issue after the first Punisher. Again, I got this for like $2 most recently. Again, it is the first appearance of the Spidey-Mobile, and it's the first cover appearance of the Jackal. who first appears in 129. Now, continue on with Punisher and Spider-Man, given that the Punisher, who of course was reprised by actor John Berthel for Spider-Man Brand New Day. I gotta show these. This is Marvel Tales 214, which I picked up last year, and I will eventually show 215, which reprints Amazing Spider-Man 161, which is the first cameo appearance of Jigsaw, who become a very popular villain for the Punisher. But this, of course, is even the first meeting between Spider-Man and Nightcrawler. So, again, just published at least within a year or so since Giant Size X-Men. So, you have it again. This is the Marvel Tales reprint for it, which, of course, introduces some new artwork from Mike Zeck, who would just come off the heels of doing not only the Punisher miniseries, but I think was also in the mix of doing the Kraven's Last Hunt storyline. With J.M. DeMatteis, that was spanning between Spectacular Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, I believe maybe Web, but I could be wrong. There you have it. And so, here we go. 215, the reprint of Amazing Spider-Man 162, the first full appearance of Jigsaw. And this is how the character looked back in the day before obviously getting a big change up by the early 90s. The business suit look and everything that eventually was done by actor Dominic West in the Punisher Warzone movie. There you have it. Now, keeping up with some 70s Spider-Man, here's this one. This is the first Marvel team-up I'm going to show right now. At least the first one I will be. And I think you've seen this one within late of 2025. But it's Marvel Team-Up number 46, which is the earliest Marvel Team-Up that I have in my collection. And this, of course, is the one that was crossing over with, if I believe, again, it's Astonishing Tales. And so, with Deathlock the Demolisher. So, very cool. Rich Butler artwork, and I think also Sal Buscema interior art, which he was doing a lot of Spider-Man at this time, and he would still do later on for Spectacular Spider-Man in the late 80s and well into the early mid-90s. You have it. Marvel Team number 46 with Deathlock. Now, this one I've had in the collection prior to starting up this channel, but it is Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 11, which is, I believe it is the first John Romita Jr. Art in any comic book to begin with. This is his debut. And again, it's a bonus story in this one, but this is a Bill Mantlo storyline with, not Gil Kane, but I forgot the artist who did it. But either way, this storyline really does feel more like a Spectacular Spider-Man story because Bill Mantlo was doing that series. So it feels more like that in that tone rather than what Len Wein was doing with Amazing Spider-Man. So there you have it. And speaking of Spectacular Spider-Man with Bill Mantlo, you think you've seen this one already, just most recently. But it's number 12. Which is not the first appearance for these two particular characters, at least as these, but not for, outside of the characters that they are introduced in this comic book as. Because of this girl right here goes all the way back to the Jerry Conway run of Amazing Spider-Man, who is connected to Flash Thompson, who had went to Vietnam. So, there you have it. And again, it is the first cameo of the very odd character, Razorback. So, there you have it. And then, here we go, Spectacular Spider-Man, number 21, with the Scorpion, who, of course, was in the movie. So, gotta show this. Again, I bought this around the same time as that Spectacular Spider-Man, number 12. So, there you have it. And here's another one that I had before starting up the channel. But it's Spectacular Spider-Man Annual number 3, which is the last appearance of John Jameson as the Man-Wolf. At least for a while. But this was definitely one where he would eventually, officially would change back to just being John Jameson and no longer having the star god power or whatever, you know, the stuff he found on the moon. So, very cool to begin with. And I showed this one last year, but here we have this Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends one-shot, which is the first comic book appearance for Firestar, because she was originally only introduced into the cartoon that this book was based off of, but eventually she would be introduced into the main continuity with Uncanny X-Men 193, which I also have. So, but this is the very first appearance of her in any comic book to begin with. So, there you have it. This one I've also showed most recently, but Marvel Team Up 117 with Wolverine. It's the first team up between Spider-Man and Wolverine, and is the first cameo appearance of Professor Power. I think that is the name of the character, if I recall. And here we have is Spectacular Spider-Man number 72, which is the first appearance of Ollie Osnick, who again first appears, and he first debuts in this issue as a fanboy of Doc Ock, but by the end of the issue, he's now a fanboy of Spider-Man, and I will show that comic here soon, where he in a way, really makes his second appearance. But I've always loved this cover too from Ed Hannigan. Just an underrated book and very, very cheap to begin with, but I've had this before the channel, so there you go. And speaking of more Punisher with Spider-Man, here we have the Spectacular Spider-Man number 83. I've bought this one around the same time I got the Marvel Tales, whatever, with the Punisher last year. But this would have been the final appearance of the Punisher in any comic book until the miniseries for the character that would launch his own ongoing series and would make him really make him one of the biggest characters for Marvel Comics to begin with. So this was a fun one to begin with. So again, after the whole stuff with the Kingpin and Cloak and Dagger. So there you have it. And this one I've had since I was a kid. And it's a reprint from Marvel Legends, the toy. So I had this, it was like an Easter gift. But that's how I was able to get this particular comic. But yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 252, which gets tied with the Marvel Team-Up book, and of course is just before Secret Wars number 8, which would be the origin of how he gets the symbiote in the first place. So this is my way of my only way of having this comic book for such a long time. And it is a great story, by the way. Really good story from Roger Stern and artwork from Ron Frenz, who added a great run on this series. So this is a really good book, really fun, and yeah, it's been my copy. It's seen better days, but hey, this was a favorite book to read for a long time, and I think for everyone else too. So, Amazing Spider-Man 252. To keep it up with my other, and probably my only other, symbiote Spider-Man comic, it is a Marvel team-up, and I think you just saw this one most recently since it has been a recent purchase. But 146, which is pretty much ties with being the last appearance of Spider-Man with the symbiote. At least it was the second to final. I'll eventually get to the last one, but I know I'm probably just babbling on. But either way, this is a cool one to begin with, and it's very, very cheap to begin with. It's a super undervalued. But again, with him in Nomad and the villain Taskmaster, there you have it. Here we go. The second appearance of Ollie Osnick, now as a Spider-Man fanboy. And he would also get another character change much later. But he's kind of a fun character. So yeah, this is 263. And again, first appearance of Spider-Man with just the more silk black costume. Still the first real non-symbiote costume. So there you have it. And this book gets tied with this one. Yes, I've had this before the channel. Web of Spider-Man number 1. And here, of course, number 2, when he eventually just went back to the classic costume. And finally, to end off, It is Web of Spider-Man number 15, which is the first appearance of Chance. This was also a recent purchase this year as well, along with 263 of Amazing Spider-Man. So there you have it, folks. That's going to be it for the first part of this Amazing Spider-Man, or this whole Spider-Man collection video to begin with. So if you really liked what you just saw in this one, if you have any of these in your collection and you have any thoughts about them, you can leave them on down in the comment section below. However, not only will it do me great, but it will do you great. Because if you really like what you see, and you really like my enthusiasm, and like the stuff that I show, you should definitely hit that subscribe button. Literally, you probably should. So, with that, I hope all of you enjoyed. I will eventually be back here with the second part to this collection. So, take care, everybody, and continue reading, collecting comic books, everybody. Just continue the hobby. Take care.